Good morning. My name is Rebecca Cohen, and I am the founder of the healing system, The Path to Heal. Today, I'm going to talk about helping your dogs heal using a book that I wrote about 5 years ago called What is My Dog Teaching Me About Me? So, the way that this book came to be is that my dog Archie is 8 years old now, and we got him 7 years ago, and he had some issues. He had been raised by a group that was training him to be a service dog, and he flunked out because he was nervous and neurotic. And so, but he was great spirited and he loved our family, and he was just very sensitive to noise, and he didn't like strange places. In the beginning, he didn't like men. And he came to join us as a family, and we were very happy to have him because he was such a delight in so many ways. And I realized as I was developing the Path to Heal that I could help Archie heal by understanding how his issues were reflecting my issues in some way. And I could see this very clearly, that Archie sort of gave me what I wanted. And if I wanted to be a strong leader, he was going to teach me how to be a strong leader. If I wanted to overcome certain fears, he was going to somehow recognize that in me and teach me how to do that. And so within a couple of months, all of Archie's neuroses disappeared. We did a lot of path on him. We gave him a lot of love, and he's been a pleasure ever since. So 3 years later, I got an email from the same trainers, and they said, would you like to adopt a yellow lab puppy, 7 months, no behavior issues. They had just x-rayed his hips, and they told us that his hips were out of alignment, and he would not make a good service dog. And immediately I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And so we adopted Mickey. And a bunch of stuff happened immediately. Archie got very territorial, very aggressive. It scared me in a lot of ways. I didn't quite know how to respond to all of this. And I was the main person training the dog, so I took them out for a lot of walks, and everything that we tried to do with Mickey and Archie together it created a little bit of tension. And I was like, what did I do? We had such a peaceful dog. And but I found that Russell, my partner, when he was with the dogs, he was completely calm, and there were absolutely no issues. Having been a big Cesar Millan fan, I recognized that this must be my problem, not his. And I would just hold on to crystals and try and stay calm. And I noticed that the Mickey and Archie problem completely and totally disappeared within a couple of weeks, as long as I remained calm. And so that's known out there in the world, especially if you're a Cesar Millan fan, that it's all about personal leadership and the ability to stay calm, and then your dogs will respect you as the leader. But I began to see patterns and really, really notice patterns. And while this was happening, at the beginning of this story of adopting Mickey, Mickey didn't have the name Mickey. Mickey had the name Lincoln when he came to us. And we knew we had to change the name because the dog that my dogs played with the most was named Lincoln. So we knew that we needed a different name for Mickey. And so we tossed around the family, and eventually we came up with Mickey. And then it was Russell who said to me, Archie is our Chi. So that's an Archie, our Chi. And Chi is life force and energy. And then we realized, as we named Mickey, without thinking about it, Mickey is my Ki, and Ki is the same word as Chi, just in Japanese. And so Mickey is our energy, or my energy. And we had given in some way, unbeknownst to us, and we didn't even name Archie, that's how he came to us, a name that meant our Chi or my Ki. And I realized that's what I'm saying. That's what this book that I began to write was all about, that these dogs are our energy. And through the Path to Heal, we can use this book, which is available on Amazon, What is My Dog Teaching Me About Me, to decode what the dog's energy is really saying about us. And then when we heal our wound, then the dog's energy can completely change. And this has worked for a fair number of my dog's problems, not 100%, but a fair number of my dog's problems. Archie, once I was writing this book, I realized Archie had been rolling in poop all the time. And I looked in this book, what do you do and I'd already started to write this, if the dog rolls in poop. And I did the technique, and I understood what it was saying about me. Clearly something very sweet. And I read about it. And then since that day, he has given up rolling in poop. So I have decided as an example to do something on my dog, Mickey. Now, Mickey has, although he came to us promised with only hip pain and no neuroses, he was actually filled with neuroses, and we haven't noticed any hip pain. And unlike Archie, who we were able to train him out of it and heal him out of it in a couple months, Mickey's about to turn 5. He's been with us for over 4 years. He still hates a lot of noises. He still doesn't like strange men. And the other thing he does is every time he and Archie are about to go outside and they run out the doggy dog, Mickey tries to jump on, hump, attack Archie first. So that is the issue that I am going to work on for Mickey today. And hopefully today, the insight that I get will allow Mickey to heal. And so if I were working with a client and this book came up through muscle testing, I would then go through the pages and muscle test what it is the dog needs, because it might not be the most obvious thing first. And it's really, I say what the dog needs, it's what the human needs, and then the dog will heal. And that's the full philosophy here. So in this case, I am going through and I am going to muscle test. However, you could just read the categories. And actually, the category that this is taking me through muscle testing, and it's what I've just described, is humping. So I'll read you the beginning. Oh, this is so funny because when I wrote this, it was about Archie, and Archie doesn't do this at all anymore. So Archie humped all of his best friends, embarrassing. So the trigger, but now I'm talking about, I wrote this about Archie, but now I'm talking about Mickey. The trigger is my dog has no impulse control. And that is absolutely true for Mickey. When he can't get an impulse met, he chatters. You can hear it. Like if we stop him from doing something he wants to do out of some impulsive need, his teeth start to chatter. And it takes him about a minute to calm down. So it's very clear that he has no impulse control. And the healing for this, our base desires are safe. Is it me? Yes. It could be someone else in my family, but I'm muscle testing to figure out, yes. This is to help me recognize that base desires are safe, especially when they come from the heart. Now this is very telling here. So that desire led to a compromising situation in my life. Yes. In this case, I'm not getting that it's sexual. Phew, I don't have to go there with the world watching, but I hope the world is watching, so that's good. So instead, it's about some other desire, and I'm going to try and do this without muscle testing because a lot of you watching this don't know how to muscle test, but muscle testing makes it easier. And I get these are all my desires. That I am afraid of food to some degree. I feel just desiring to eat that cake. Even though I'm relatively controlled around food, I still fear it. And I fear that that isn't safe. My desires around work. There's something about wanting to bring this system to the world and helping everybody think about healing in a very different way isn't safe, that it's all healing is about me loving me. And I think that this just goes back to the fact that what I do is so different than what everybody else does. So there's a piece of me that's still afraid of this. And so then the next thing, so is to ponder the question, am I ashamed of my desires? I think that maybe there's some piece of that, especially when it comes to food, that I could say that would be true. And you really have to think about it as you go through this book. And the last thing is, I embrace all my heartfelt desires as beautiful. So what this says is, when I know, and especially a desire that comes from the heart, if I give it no judgment and recognize it as beautiful, then I will be healed. And then Mickey, who's reflecting me and my unmet desires, it can heal too. So the only the trick here for me is to just say, does this desire, will it bring me joy? Is it from my heart? And if it will, then not to judge it and go forward and have the faith that anything that will bring me joy and is from the heart, that is worthwhile doing, rather than stopping myself with some set of rules. And not only worthwhile, it will make me happy and healthy. Because but one of the basic premises that I have received as developing the path to heal is that my heart is connected to your heart, and our hearts are one. So anything that truly comes from the heart is not bad, it's beautiful. So now I finished that piece, and now I'm going back to the table of contents. And I get to the section called nervousness. And I could have gotten there without muscle testing, because Mickey still has all of these nervous behaviors. And as I read this, and I wrote this book about 3.5, 4 years ago, everything made Mickey nervous. Noises from upstairs, unrecognizable objects, cars coming up the driveway, children laughing next door. I could go on and on. He slunk away whenever a new stimulus came on the scene. And this is not as bad as it was, but he is still afraid of men that he doesn't know, and he still is afraid of noises. And actually, very recently, he developed a new fear. On our stove, we have a backdraft, which is a fan that comes up behind the stove, and you push a button and it comes up when we're cooking. And every time that fan is on and makes a noise, all he wants to do is get out of the house. So that's a very new nervousness that he just developed. And so I'm going to read through the things in this book now, trigger. And these are all the things to ponder as you're working through this book. My dog is a scaredy cat. Well, that's true. The healing. I courageously ask my friends and loved ones to support my true being. And I'm asking again, is this about me? And I guess it is. So I do believe that I am courageously asking my friends and loved ones to support my true being. I think that one of the reasons I'm doing all these Facebook Live videos is so that I'm not hiding anymore in some kind of perceived safe environment with my philosophies and my loving ideals, and the concept that all healing comes from within through self-love. And I haven't specifically gone out to my friends and said, please support me on this. But this is interesting because I feel that I do, at this point, courageously ask my friends and loved ones to support my true being just by being true to myself when I'm with them. I don't necessarily say those words, support me, but I'm true, I'm out there, I'm vocal. So the wound, though, maybe the wound will resonate. My loved ones are dismissive of the true me. So now I'm going to muscle test, which you don't have to do, but I can't come up with the answer here, so I'm going to do it. Do I have loved ones? And this is a yes, and this is a no. Do I have loved ones that are dismissive of the true me? Yes. Are they family members? No. Are they friends? No. Are they potential clients and students? No. Is it the world? Yes. So if you take my philosophy out one step further, that my heart is aligned to your heart and your heart and your heart, and all our hearts are one, is it that at least I fear that the world is dismissive, and the world are all my loved ones, because we are all love and we are all connected. And I can say that I don't experience people being dismissive of the true me all the time, but I am afraid of it. I am afraid of getting dismissed. I have to work up the courage to talk about what I do in front of total strangers. However, it doesn't take me a lot of courage anymore to do this on Facebook Live. So it's interesting. It's a process. And anyone who's doing something different in this world definitely will go through this kind of thing as a process. Because when you're bringing your loving ideals to the world, you go against your family, your community, and a lot of bias and a lot of preconceived notions that people have about things. And when you look at the world and your philosophy is that self-love is the only path to heal and only love is real, then at times there are people that have political opinions and political opinions in other arena that I don't fully agree with anymore, because I think the point, and maybe this is about politics, I think that the point of politics is to teach us to find love and stop fighting with each other so much. And the worse the political situation seems, the more the calling is for us to listen in and discover love of each other. So that is one area where I do feel that at least my circle can be dismissive of the true me. And so I don't always express what I'm expressing here in that way. And then clearly, since the world is so divided politically, I would think that the world at large could be dismissive of the true me also. So the next question on nervousness is, do I fear that my loved ones believe that my consciousness is ridiculous? And I do believe that at least I have some loved ones that believe my consciousness around politics is ridiculous. And so what's really interesting here is that it took me a while to figure this out. And that's why sometimes a path practitioner is helpful. And had there been a path practitioner working with me and I just wasn't using this for myself, it would happen faster. But I do believe if you ponder these questions enough, the answers start to come from inside about what this all means. And in this case, I finally figured it out by going through this slowly and thinking about it, doing a little bit of muscle testing, that for me, this was about me being much more loving in the arena of politics than the world closest to me. So then the affirmation at the end of all of this is, my friends and loved ones support the true me. So if I just know that, rather than thinking that they won't, in some cases, you don't even give people a chance. You just assume that they won't. And that's what I'm getting in this case. I assume that people won't support my true me. And therefore, I keep it kind of quiet when it comes to politics. And it's interesting, nothing else. And when I say politics, means that I believe that what we're doing to each other and being so, having become two sides that war, at least in the US, is so much more dangerous than what a political figure can do. A political figure is just a representation of our need to take sides and fight. So that's the consciousness that I kind of hide around my loved ones. So interesting. What's going to be really interesting now that I've done this work through this book on me, and I'm gonna give it a little crystal tuning fork energy, just to help this move faster, to see if Mickey calms down. And as I said, when I do this, very often my dog does completely change afterwards. But there are times after I work on my dog that it requires more healing and more understanding through the rest of the path to heal. So I appreciate anybody who is watching this and allows me to share my own story with you. And if anyone wants to know more, please message me and I'm happy to talk about it. Thanks a lot.